So I think I want to do something. I think I want to do something. It is something that I have been thinking about for a little bit. It would be something very new for me. So let me give a bit of background on it. So on our last long trip, with just my husband and I, we were driving back from Houston. I was riding, he was driving. We listened to a fiction podcast, not very different from what I do with story time, okay? The difference here is that it used a script. There was no narrative. The entire story was told through different people speaking. The entire story was done via dialogue. So I'm not saying which one it was because I didn't hate it, but also didn't love it. And giving a review isn't the point. The point is that there were ways in which I believe that is a very successful medium. It was very interesting to have the story told solely through audio, no narrative, only dialogue. But there are also ways in which this medium falls short. So when I initially had the idea of doing story time a year ago or whenever it was, story time started with me writing a script for what eventually became Me Plus Somebody's Son, but it was a very different story at that time. I quickly discovered that a script, just a straight up script like what would be used for TV, it fails in this format, in my opinion, because a lot of the nuances are lost. Because whereas if this script was being applied to a screenplay or television or a stage play, whatever, you would have visual cues. You will be able to see that someone walked from here to here. You'll be able to see that someone was smiling or whatever else. You will be able to see it. But if you're doing a fiction podcast or whatever, where there's no narrative, you're missing a lot that you're not getting in those narrative cues. That's where audiobooks come in. Audiobooks are typically taking just a book, a book that was written for someone to, to sit and quietly read or whatever else, but you're applying someone's voice to it. Someone is narrating it to you. But that can end up dragging a bit because you're getting a lot of unnecessary and potentially awkward information because you don't need every shut the door, he said. Obviously, he just said it because you just heard him say it. And so in audio, I think that there's a way that it just kind of falls short. Now, there is something that marries the two of these, and I'm still kind of in my research process. I don't know that it has necessarily a name. I do know that there is full cast narration, which is not exactly the same thing either, because with full cast narration, my understanding is that we just have different people, coming in for the different dialogue, but we're still reading the same manuscript or whatever. So after speaking with a few people, notably one person in particular. I'm not saying this person's name because for reasons, not nothing bad or anything like that, just for their privacy. I'm going to be rewriting maybe next time as a script for this type of narration or this type of audio project, where we'll get some narrative, some dialogue with, a male and female narrator. We'll get some narrative, we'll get some dialogue. Essentially, what I'm trying to do is marry the best of both worlds, and I've never done this before. I have written I've written for screen before. Nothing that, that anyone would have seen. Like, I've written scripts before, but nothing has been produced, but I have written scripts before. And so I have a very rudimentary knowledge of writing a script, and I have extensive experience writing, a manuscript. And so what I am going to try to do is, like I said, put together the best of both worlds, and I'm going to be taking you guys along with me chapter by chapter as I do this, I think. So part of me doing this is because I am in a little bit of a rut creatively. And I know, Christina, you just released a book. I did just release a book. I did. But that book was finished well before it was released, or a decent amount of time before it was released. And I'm ready to move forward. Like, I'm ready to keep moving with, with my creativity. What I want to do is write romantic comedy, but romantic comedy does not seem to want me right now. And so what I'm hoping is that through this process of doing something a little different, it will give my brain the break that it needs before I go into whatever my next project is going to be. I don't think it's going to be romantic comedy. I would love for my brain to prove me wrong on that, but I don't think it's going to be that. But we shall see. But yeah, this should be interesting. So let me know. What you think about this idea. I'm gonna do it either way, but I am curious as to what you guys might possibly think about this idea. I'm also thinking that we are probably going to be doing some sort of podcast or something with, once it's recorded and all of that. I don't know that I'm going to be doing it in just my quote unquote normal audiobook format. I think we might be trying something different. And I also think that potentially I might be coming back to story time with this as, with this knowledge as, no, I'm gonna do the maybe next time rewrite, because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. But I was gonna say maybe I should start with something fresh to give this a shot first, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Bye.